Welcome. Wrestling with the Future Radio Network proudly presents What's the Buzz? Amelia, what's the buzz,
Hello.
kid?
Hey, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, it's going to be a really interesting night. It's going to be here is our guest of the evening. It's going to be a good night tonight. I've got a gentleman tonight as my guest. His name is Bruce Clark. And if you don't know who Bruce Clark is, well, you will by the end of the show, by God. He's a guy who has affected, and will continue to affect everyone's life who's watching this show right now. Why, do you ask yourself? Why do this man who I don't know, how could he affect my life? Simply, I want to tell you how he did it. Bruce Clark's the guy who invented the stadium and arena cup holder. So next time you go to a game and you've got that big drink in front of you, and you've got a place to put it, you need to thank Bruce Clark for that place to put it, because he's the guy who put it there. Without any further ado,
don't forget movie theaters.
Yes, absolutely.
And movie theaters, yes. Without further ado, the man of the hour, Mr. Bruce Clark. Hello, Bruce, my friend. How are you?
Hello, Bruce.
Angelo,
Welcome.
greetings. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You are one of those
Wonderful
people. You're one of those people, Bruce, that kind of an enigma. Nobody knows you, but you affect everyone's life.
Yes.
In some way, shape, or form. Everyone's been to a game, a concert, a movie.
Yes.
And I remember days when
I like to say I changed the face of America.
Absolutely.
you sure did. Yes, sir. You sure did, and continue to. Tell you about a little bit about Bruce Clark. He's one of those guys. As I said, he is an enigma. You may not know his name, but that cup holder, who would think that a cup holder at a game or a movie venue would make such a big difference? But honestly, it really, really does. Because I've used that cup holder for drinks, for my popcorn cup. I've used it to put my glasses in. I've used it to put my hat, gloves, and scarf in. It comes handy for other things, by the way, Bruce. Not just big 48-ounce drinks.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So I want to find out,
It's
Mr. Bruce Clark, how the heck
our mission statement. How did I ever do that?
Yeah, I want to find out, where did the idea for
our mission statement. Well, I was at a movie theater with my wife in a cold Minnesota winter. Had our coats on, order a pop and popcorn, get into the theater, and there was no place. I needed to take off my coat.
Yeah.
Simple. I just needed to take off my coat. And I said, honey, hold my drink. And she had her hand full of pop and popcorn. And the floor was just sticky and gross. The seats offered no help. And I was so frustrated. I said, damn it, I said. There needs to be a freaking cup holder in the back of every one of these seats. And with that, I ran with it the next day. I had a vision that evening. I saw it. I envisioned cup holders on every stadium and theater seat. And I thought, okay, here's a need. Here's a real serious need. And our mission statement early on was that we wanted to have everyone going into a theater or a stadium expect a place to keep their drink. Expect it. We wanted people to, so natural that they were pissed off if they didn't see that.
Yeah.
So that's
interesting stuff. I read a little bit about that, and then people want to know whether Bruce exaggerated it. No, it was that simple. It was as simple as the man. He went to a movie and had no place for his stuff, so he created a place for our stuff. And that's as simple as it is. But out of necessity are great inventions made. They say that it's been
That's
said,
right.
Bruce, that necessity is the mother of invention. I've also said that
Amen.
poverty is his father, because
Yeah.
oftentimes, yeah, it's true. Oftentimes, you've got a great idea, and you can see that vision manifest itself. But what if the person or individual with this brain trust of an idea doesn't have the wherewithal or the financial backing or capital to make it a reality? Well, what happens then?
Well, I didn't either. I didn't either. The
Okay.
next day, I went to a local machinist and had him make for me a prototype. Cost me $200. It was a piece of
Okay.
aluminum. It was a round hoop that would fold up and down. You'd mount it onto a seat. It would fold up and down. It was just a hoop. And I thought that was the hot ticket. And once I had that made, I went and visited my patent attorney, was the first stop. And once I had a patent pending, I was like a racehorse out of the gate. And I went everywhere, shared the idea with anybody that would listen to me. I showed it to theater owners. Everybody thought it was okay, pretty good. And I came across, one guy would recommend somebody else. You got to talk to this guy or that guy. And I was on the road, and it took me about a week at the most. And I ended up with a theater supply company. And we made a deal. They loved it. They thought it was, this is it. These guys supplied all the sound for all the stadiums. They did all the theater seats and stadium seats. And so they had a customer list that just worked. And they were very highly reputable. And we made a deal for them getting the exclusive rights to distribute this.
Yeah.
They, in turn, gave me a warehouse, an office, secretary of health, of course. They gave me they paid for everything. I mean, all the marketing costs, including magazine ads and the trade publications.
I like these people.
And trade shows.
Mm-hmm.
They paid for all the trade shows. So not bad for a $200 investment.
No kidding. I like these people a lot.
Right.
Man, I like these people a lot.
Can you excuse me for one moment? I have to grab and plug in my laptop before the battery goes dead.
Absolutely. You go right ahead. And Amelia and I will talk for a moment.
Sure.
You go ahead. Do that while Amelia and I talk. Amelia.
Yes.
Out of necessity.
I know, right?
A great idea was created and manifest. How about that?
That is so neat.
You've got to have questions about this, I'm sure.
Oh, definitely.
Well, good. When Bruce comes back, you're going to ask him a bunch of questions.
Of course.
This is way too good. We got this man for as long as we want.
Hello.
So.
Yes. Hello.
There he is. So I'm going to throw it to Amelia. She's got a couple questions. I'm sure her mind is buzzing right now.
Yeah.
So
just,
go for it, kid.
Yeah, just like you were saying, you were at the movie theater wanting to watch a movie with your wife, and I can understand the sticky floors. I wouldn't want that either. Putting my sticky, drink on the floor was sticky like that. Just like when I was going to a movie theater with my mom and dad and my sister, we were wondering too, where can we put our drinks? And my mom and dad were like, yeah, don't put it on the floor either, especially, with the popcorn and, where can we put our drinks?
So
or if we're going to a concert. Yes, even to a concert, you want to put the drink down and start cheering for your favorite band right when they come on the stage. Where can you put your drink? Or somebody's going to knock it over. Of course, you want to have that drink. You're going to be screaming, and you're going to want to have something to drink afterwards or during the concert. Absolutely. And that was a fantastic idea. And, as you were growing up, you probably wanted something like that.
Wanting something like what? I'm sorry?
A cup holder when you were growing up as well, going to concerts as well. I bet you were wanting something like that as well.
I never thought about it until I was frustrated. I just, I remember ashtrays in movie theaters.
Exactly.
We're so used to the norm, and we accept things the way they are. And that's one thing I've learned over the years is in the world of creativity is about not accepting anything the way it is. It's okay, but who says it has to be that way? And but back then, I just accepted things the way they are, and well, that's the way it is. And
Well, let me
You know,
tell
you
you
spill your
about
drink when you're trying.
let me tell you about missed opportunity. I'm going to share a story with you.
Sure.
When I was 20 years old, I invented the electric spaghetti fork. Okay.
That
I'm
would
Italian.
twirl.
So, wait a minute. And it did. Here's the problem. I made the mistake of, I made two mistakes. I did not have a patent or a patent attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. Number two, I told somebody who did. Okay.
Ah, sure.
Somebody who
Yep.
had the wherewithal to make it come true did.
Mm-hmm.
And now, well, actually, you know, justice is mine because here's what happened. His electric spaghetti fork
Mm-hmm.
ended up forking itself up.
Oh.
It didn't work the way it was intended or designed to work. Mine actually did. So,
Oh,
but
cool.
that's a true story, though. I
Mm-hmm.
invented a twirling spaghetti fork that actually worked.
Would you have it on
And
the end of a
somebody,
drill?
no, believe it or not, it was a child's toy
Mm-hmm.
that had
Okay,
a
you modified it.
spindle. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
modified a kid's toy that had a
So you had a
spindle head.
working prototype.
Oh.
Well, this was plastic actually, and it worked really, really well because it was,
Cool.
two AA batteries. That was it.
Mm.
You know, that was a little
Fun.
cumbersome. This was, of course, before the AAA battery was invented.
Mm-hmm.
Just to show you how far we've come. I want to talk to you, Bruce, about uh, um, the innovative mind. You said that the cup holder came out of necessity, out of frustration, but you have that inquisitive mind. We all, at some point, come across. It's like the old expression I heard once. Even a blind squirrel comes across an acorn once in a while, right?
Sure.
Once in a while, you know, even the most inept individual comes across like a gem. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But for people like Amelia and myself that are like naturally brilliant and gifted, but are happen to be poor, you know, how do we make sense of the inequity in mind versus pocket? Are there ways? What I'm asking is, are there ways to self finance? Are there people willing to take chances on you?
Well, that's a good question. And back in the day, I funded all my businesses via credit cards. I had great credit, so I was able to apply for all these credit cards and get, you know, $20,000 to $80,000 in lines of credit. And back
Yeah.
then, this was in the 80s when they were sending you checks and say, hey, just write out a check and, you know, we'll put it on the credit card and
Yeah.
deposit in your bank. And so I did. Well, having about 10 of these cards, I was
Okay
able to
then.
run up, you know, $20,000, $30,000 in debt on one card, keep all my other ones at zero, and then flip them.
That's
Because then they would
crazy.
send me a deal and say, hey, I will give you here's 0% interest
Oh yeah.
for a year if you put it on our credit card. And so I did. And I only made minimum payments. Now, and the most I've ever paid was 4%, but it was usually 0%. And it went on like that for 10 years before the
Oh
08
my God.
problem hit.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I had acquired about $250,000 worth of debt, but I was managing it and it was just fine. And you just can't if the banking system ever comes back like that, you just
Yeah.
cannot be late one day or your
Well,
interest rate
Bruce,
goes up
let
to
me ask you a
30%.
question about that. That's a great lead in.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you a question about that. And I'm not going to get too personal, but what you were earning at the time, was it such that you could afford that debt? I mean, were you
I was
financially
using.
solvent, like
I
cash
had
money?
just quit. I had some money. I had some. I had like $50,000 in the checking account.
Right.
But I'd spent that. Once I had this deal with that distributor, I spent all that money on a mold
Got it.
to build my cup holders.
Yeah.
And it goes into, how do you know if you want to spend that money? You mentioned that earlier about,
Yeah.
how do you know when it's worth, investing something in an idea? Well, you
Yeah.
weigh the upside and you weigh the downside. And
Yeah.
if the upside is far greater or greater than the downside, it's go for it. Take that calculated risk. And I saw, here for $200, I had, a distributor. I had a means of all the marketing, trade shows. I just needed to come up with $50,000 to, make the product. And
Yeah.
so that's what I did.
It's incredible.
And
It sounds
it
so.
was,
You
the
make it
upside
sound.
was
No, go ahead, Bruce. Go ahead.
No,
I
I was
realized
going
the
to.
upside was really big and the downside
Yeah.
was only 50 grand. To me, that wasn't anything because I pictured myself making millions.
Well, I was about to say to you, you make it sound so simple.
Mm.
You make it
Well,
sound like, hey, baby, this is a piece of cake.
it can
But
be. It can be. It really
can
can.
I ask you a
And that's one
question?
thing. Go ahead.
Let's have it. I want to have an open, honest dialogue with our audience, and because I think they deserve it. You make it sound easy, and you said, well, yeah, it can be. It can also be a pain in the ass.
Oh
Um,
yeah, it's called hard
but
work.
but here's the question though. Does does the system, the way it's set up now, make it more difficult than it need be, or is it a simple a hit and run philosophy? You know what I'm getting at?
Well, no. What do you mean hit and run? I mean,
Well,
you
when I
hit and
say hit and
run. It sounds
run,
like you're going to go broke if you just do a hit and
well,
run.
no, I say hit and run. I mean hit the ball and run to the base. You
Oh,
know,
oh.
is it? Yeah,
Well,
is it
yeah.
that simple, or is it? Do they make it more complex than it need be?
I like the cup holder idea because it was a simple product. And you mentioned, is it really that simple? Well, no, there was a lot of hard work, and I had a lot of brick walls that I've had to learn how to climb over, dig under, find a way around, legally dismantle. And it was not easy. And there were many times where I felt, hey, I'm striking out here, or, I can't get over this wall. I'm going to give up.
Yeah,
But having that vision of seeing all these cup holders in every stadium and theater in the world, that's what kept me going. Having that vision
yeah,
kept me going, and I just kept going. I did everything I could to make it happen, and asked a lot of questions because I didn't know. Nobody had ever invented a cup holder before, so
I
I
know. It
didn't
seems
know.
like
So I
such a simple thing, doesn't it? It seems like
well,
so elementary, like something to put your cup in. It's
yeah.
it's simple, but not so
Well, there's a
simple.
lot of that. Yeah.
It's
Well,
crazy.
okay, I'll tell you something a little more complex if you want to hear about another product. I teamed up with a friend of mine and we started a business and we invented other products for ladder safety accessories.
Okay.
And our first concept of an idea was simple wheels
Mhm.
for ladders. And
Okay.
and we pushed that for like 3-4 years.
Right.
And I mean, we spent a lot of money, and it was a simple product, some
Mhm.
welding and some wheels that would mount on an extension ladder, reduce the weight by up to 80%. And, it worked. And we sold a number, but it didn't go real well. Well, it was kind of a failure, actually. And so during this time, we were in contact with a lot of different safety companies and
Right.
safety people in the world of construction companies. And one of our customers came to us and said, "Hey, we need a guy to be able to climb a ladder to the top of a roof or they OSHA required a railing system around
Yeah.
the edge of the top of the wherever they're working. And but where you put a ladder up there was an
Yeah.
opening, and they needed some way to, because people were stepping around the ladder. So we came up with, and it wasn't easy coming up with it. In fact, it was very hard, very complex. By this time, I had gotten pretty good on using SolidWorks CAD system. And
Mhm.
I designed a bunch of different stuff, and it was not easy. I couldn't come up with a real simple, good deal. So we paid $5,000 to a design company
Oh, wow.
who came up with the perfect design. It's a couple railings that mount over the top of an extension ladder, and
Oh,
they
wow.
Y out at the
Mhm.
top. So now you take your extension ladder and you raise it so the top step is equal with the roof line. And then you have this railing system that goes over the top of the beams of the ladder,
Yeah.
and you walk straight through the ladder instead of stepping around the ladder. And that stepping
Amazing.
around,
Oh.
which was dangerous. So
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
product is selling like hotcakes right now as we speak. It's a great product. It's saving lives, but it was a little more complex. It wasn't as easy. We did have to have somebody else figure it out for us.
Well, let me
So
ask
I
you a
hope that answers
question about
your
that.
question.
Again, that's a great lead in. How many prototypes did you have to go through? And
One,
one. Oh, really?
Wow.
And
well,
was it
that
simply
design company,
modified?
the design company made the prototype, and then I got on the CAD system and
Okay.
redesigned it so that it was just beefy
Yeah.
and very strong. And because the last thing you want is somebody to grab onto your railing systems and then,
Mhm.
it breaks and they fall off a rooftop.
So there was one
And so,
prototype with a modification.
yeah, and I did, well, no, I actually, it was just one prototype. We never really used it because it was just a couple straight beams that went straight up.
Oh, I
And I
gotcha.
got on the CAD system and redesigned it and beefed it up and
Oh,
made
I
it
gotcha.
Y out so
So
that you could carry a
you
load with
ended
you.
up not using the prototype at all. Then you went from
Correct.
you
Correct.
redesigned it from the ground up. With regard to the cup holder,
Mhm.
again, it seems like a simple approach to
Mhm.
you know a simple solution to everybody's kind of problem, but there are a lot of variables in taking into consider a cup holder, various size cups.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, yes.
so you got that
I've got
smile on your face. I know there's a story here.
it.
Mhm.
Oh, there's the story.
I'm
My
telling
first
you.
fold up hoop idea was an
Yeah.
Mhm.
absolute failure. But we didn't realize that until we had already spent that $50,000.
Oof.
We'd already gone to the trade show, and
Yeah.
we had to hit this. It was called NATO, National Association of Theater Owners in Las Vegas,
Yes.
once a year, and it's a big deal. And every theater
Oh,
owner is
I've
there,
actually
and
been to one.
have you? And
I have.
we had to be there for that to kick this product off. So it was a race to get everything done, get the mold built, get the brochures
Mhm.
made. We didn't even have product until a month or 3 weeks prior to getting to the
Yeah.
trade show. The mold just wasn't done, and so our brochures were graphics. They were just drawings. They were not
Right.
photos of the product. Um, we had laid out our booth. We And I had even done a real quick test market with a local theater owner that I filled up it was a threeplex, and we put him in all his seats, and boom, we were off to the trade show. And we get to the trade show, and with the very first day, that theater owner comes up to me with a tally of all these showings that he had, and he had a tally of all these hoops that he had to pick up from the front of the screen because kids were popping the hoop off and throwing it at the screen. And people warned us. Now here's where emotions got in my way of a design. People forewarned me. They said, it's a great idea, but boy, it's just not that strong. It's not that beefy. And it could break and hurt somebody. And I thought, okay. I'm thinking here, right? I'm thinking. I'll fix that. I'll make the hoop pop out. And you just snap it back in. Problem solved, right?
Yeah.
Hardly. It just made it worse. And so that guy right away, when he showed me the results, I knew we had a real flop on our hands.
Wow.
And I also at that time envisioned a more robust, hardy, bolted on, much better cup holder. But it took us a year later to the next show to really kick it off again.
Well, let me ask you a question about this, Bruce. I've been, recently, I went to a concert in Philadelphia, and the cup holder in the seat, there were to the right of every seat was that seat's cup holder, and I took notice of it specifically because we had a large drink that my wife and I were sharing. It was like a 64-ounce drink. It was a big sucker. I noticed that inside the cup, inside this holder, there were 3 different rings, like 3 levels of sizes inside this ring. Was that your idea?
No, my idea was one big one to fit all the cups. And so the small cups might float around in there a little bit. Now, I had sold the company, and I sold the company, it got so big that, I just didn't have the resources to be pumping in more money. And the company our distributor was very, they wanted to buy it. So I sold it to them. They made me an offer I couldn't refuse. And so I went away. They ended up hiring me back as a sports marketing guy to sell advertising on all the cup holders in all the stadiums. Anyway, but since then, there's other designs that they came up with that could have been one of them.
It's interesting. I don't know if I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Amelia, have you been to a concert venue or a movie lately and taken notice of the cup holder?
I did. I went to a Kenny Chesney concert at a football stadium. That's where
did you have the same kind of cup holder? I'm assuming, Amelia, that you were in a large venue, like a 20,000-30,000 seat building.
Yes, it was at the Railings Stadium over here at where our team plays in Florida.
Yeah, as I went to see Andrea Bocelli in Philadelphia.
Oh yes, that was
and there was a 24-ounce size. There was a 32-ounce size and a 64-ounce size.
Yeah, it was to the right of us as well.
Fit with inside this kind of you see it there, but there you go.
Yes,
a step. I got it.
Yeah,
sure.
Yes.
Now, Bruce,
we did some testing early on. Go ahead.
No, I was going
we did some testing early on and realized that you don't really need to have steps.
Yeah.
As long as it's big enough to hold everything. We found out if it's too snug, you pull it out, it spills.
And I've seen that happen where it actually sprung back on people and drenched them in soda or water.
That
or
wasn't
whatever
my
the case may
design.
be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amelia, questions
We
for Bruce.
realized that
Yeah.
wasn't necessary.
What
But
what's
that's
person?
how they may have gotten around our patent. That's how they may have gotten around our patent.
I
Oh, there
it
you,
probably
Amelia.
was.
Jump on that. Jump on that question. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah. What? Well, I was going to ask you, what stadium was the first stadium that you had your cup holders in,
The
if you
Metrodome,
remember? Were you able
Minneapolis
to?
Metrodome.
Were you ever given season tickets for that? Did they ever give you season tickets for any
No,
of
I
the
never did.
stadiums?
But what's interesting is that the first test we did was a whole section that was
Uh-huh.
next to the season ticket holders section.
Oh wow.
Oh,
And
wow.
after the first event, the guy called me and said, "Boy, we need to fill up the season ticket holders because they were complaining like mad. They were really
Uh-huh.
ticked off
Wow.
that they didn't get the cup holders." So that was a
Now,
good
now
problem to
that's
have.
really, Amelia, that's a great question.
Uh-huh.
I would never have thought about that, but
Yeah.
I would also never have thought to
Mhm.
test market a
Yes.
section that wasn't like either VIP
Mhm.
or season
Yes.
ticket or,
Yes.
that had some kind of clout to it,
Mhm.
because these people are spending
Yes.
$35,000 or
Mhm.
50,000 a year for season tickets in some
Exactly.
cases.
Yes.
And that's real, by the
Sure.
way, that's real money, folks. And
Yes.
and
Well, we would
they want to
offer
be spoiled, right?
stadiums.
Yes.
We we'd offer a stadium a section for free.
Mhm.
Just try it out. Give on the early
Mhm.
days, right
Oh,
before
wow. Okay.
Right.
everybody started buying them.
Mm.
And even theaters, we'd say, "Hey, we'll deck out one of your theaters for a test market.
Mhm.
Go for it."
Mhm.
And we offered that for free.
Bruce, in your bio, in fact, up on the screen right now, people are looking a little bit about your background. You were involved in the auto and retail business and tutoring programs. Give me some idea of what we're talking about here. What kind of tutoring programs? What kind of retail?
Well, I had
Oh.
after I sold the cup holder business, I needed something to do, so I ended up buying a computerized photography machine that would put photos on T-shirts, hats, buttons, and all that.
There you
So I
go.
opened up a
Oh.
lot of little donkey carts in all these local malls. And what was cool about it is that it would
Oh, I remember
take a
those.
yeah, I could take a photo from any photograph you
Mhm.
brought me and put you in there
Mhm.
as a live person, make it look like it was real. The special
Yeah.
Mhm.
effects were so cool. We ended up being
Mhm.
in the Minnesota Zoo where I could take a photo of a wolf looking around a tree and have your
Uh-huh.
kids looking around that same tree right underneath the wolf.
Yeah.
And they
I
were just
remember those.
they
Bruce, can I tell you
we
something?
were so popular. Our lines competed with Santa Claus during Christmas.
Oh
Brother,
wow.
That's how
I got
popular
news
they were.
for you. I want to. This is. I'm not kissing up. This is a straight shoot. I did the same thing in Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee. I
Cool.
had I had a cart business. I did professional wrestling T-shirts, but I could
Mhm.
take
All
your
right.
face and I
Right.
could put your
Put
face
in a
on
big
Hulk
body.
Hogan's body.
Yep.
Exactly.
I had the
We
same
did that.
system. Yeah. Oh,
I loved it.
funny.
I made a
And
lot of money
yeah,
doing
I
that.
went from,
Mhm.
I'll tell you, it was
Man,
all
that's crazy.
cash.
Oh
Yeah.
my
It was
God, yeah,
great.
cash and carry, brother.
Mhm.
The
Yeah. I
what
had
you're
5 of those
doing
stores in
now.
the Twin Cities, including a couple of them at the Mall of America.
Oh my
Mhm.
God, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
It was
big ass
great.
mall, huge place. I want
Yeah.
to talk a little bit about Clark and Clark Publishing. I'm
Well,
fascinated.
Mhm.
We have a number of authors that Amelia knows that have come on the show here
Yes.
and
Mhm.
talked about their books and their publishing companies, and
Mhm.
some are self-published and some are publishing houses. How did Clark and Clark come to be as a publishing house?
well, after I sold the cup holder business, I thought, I had learned so many hard lessons the hard way because I don't have a college education. I was a lousy student. I mean, I flunked 7th grade for crying out loud. And I had little money. And so doing what I did, I learned a lot of valuable lessons in that, not only in business, but that affects life also. And I thought, I got to write this down, man. This is a good story. And so I wrote it. And I had another guy dress it up and made a book, self-published. And that was the idea of Clark Publishing. I had another guy helping me. He was kind of my publicist, if you will. And he set up my website and came up with Clark Publishing, because Clark & Clark was originally manufacturing. It was Clark & Clark Manufacturing. And so I used the same logo, and I changed it to Clark & Clark Publishing. But before that, I changed it to Clark & Clark Enterprises for my auto repair businesses. So I've used that corporate name, just changed a little bit here and there. But anyway, where was I going with this? What was your question?
The
publishing.
Publishing.
Yes. And, and what's funny is I had 3 different editors doing this book. And when we finally had it printed on Amazon, self-publishing, right, I was ashamed of it because there were so many mistakes and it was a joke and I didn't push it whatsoever. I was embarrassed. And so another buddy of mine said, hey, let me see what I can do with this. And he added another couple hundred pages and really brought it to life. And it's so now it's something I'm very proud of, and it's not out yet, but I do have a New York publisher who wants to sell it, or not a publisher, I'm sorry, a New York literary agent who wants to push sell it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I may give Clark & Clark Publishing my book to publish. I've written 2 books. The first is out of the first book is out of print. It's called Stay Tuned, The Psychic Realm from a Theological Perspective. The second book is still available, and I want to republish it because I want to make some changes. And the book is called Psychic Fingerprints. And that's my book. It made a little bit of noise back in the day.
Cool.
And so I'm looking for another publisher. So maybe I can hook up with Bruce
I'm
Clark.
not really a publisher.
I don't care if you can get my book out there. I don't give a shit.
I can give you a name of somebody.
It's nice to see it. I got to tell Amelia, and I got to tell you, Bruce. It's nice to see that Bruce Clark goes off the rails like we do, Amelia.
I know, right?
Because we do shit like that all the time.
I'm not afraid.
No.
I used to drive Formula race cars, so and I've been a pilot, and I'm not afraid of things, and I will go where no man likes to go typically.
Yeah. Let's talk about entrepreneurship. There's a big movement today, and I have great admiration for entrepreneurs. I consider myself an entrepreneur in some regards, but I also have great disdain for the way the system manipulates and in some cases destroys the entrepreneurial spirit. It occurs to me as someone who's been both a victim of the system and worked within it, that if you're not prepared to get doors slammed in your face, don't try to be an entrepreneur, because you're going to have a lot of doors slammed in your face.
Yes.
On
the other hand,
you gotta get used to know. Any actress would tell you that. Singers, how long. You ever watch any of Dan Rather's interviews with these rock stars?
Believe it or not, I'm going to tell you something funny. I love Dan Rather. I think the guy's
I do. I don't like his politics, but I sure admire him as an interviewer. He is excellent.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, his politics sucks, but his interviewing skills are the best. He really is.
I watch almost every one of them. And I didn't get into some of these bands until after watching him and seeing how hard those people worked and how often they were rejected, how many
Yeah.
years it took them to get to be
Oh,
a
definitely.
star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Amelia.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask you, just when you were inventing the cup holder and everything, did you have other ideas as you were inventing the cup holder? What else you could do with that as well?
No, I did not. I was just focused on that and that alone. I thought the market's big enough. I don't have to do anything more. You know, it was just that important to me to be successful with that one product that
Mhm.
I believe
Well,
that you got to be careful. You ever watch Shark Tank?
Yes.
oh
Okay.
God, yeah.
A lot of people will go there and talk about they're making so much money in this one area, and then they say, and we want to expand and do this, 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 this. And
Hmm.
Shark Tank guys, they'll say, hey, whoa, 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 whoa.
Mm.
No, focus on what works.
Did you ever
Focus on
think
where the
about going
money.
on
Yeah.
that? Did you
Is
ever think
I'm
that
about
sorry.
going that? Did you ever think about going on Shark Tank
Not
at once?
No, because I never really needed. I never got a venture capitalist. I talked to a few of them, and I really admire Shark Tank because those guys, as long as you're willing to work hard and do the work with their guidance, they're happy with 20-30%. You
Yes.
know,
yeah.
all the venture capitalists I ran into, they all wanted control. They wanted that
Yes.
51%. And
Oh,
sorry,
Oh my
definitely.
God.
I'll sell it first
51. Holy
before I.
shit.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, I have a
Oh
question
yeah.
and following up on something Amelia said, and it's a good point she brings up. And I've heard two different viewpoints on this. I'm interested in your core principles. I've heard people say do one thing and do it well, and I've heard other people say do it well but diversify. Where's
Sure.
your head on that?
Well, it depends on how strong of an organization you have and how many, how much money you have to be able to expand and keep
Mhm.
doing what makes money, doing it right. You look
Yeah.
at a lot of these conglomerates that are selling off parts, places that don't make money. Those guys are, I couldn't imagine trying to run a conglomerate with multiple different
Ooh,
businesses.
yeah.
And if you're big enough, you can do that, and you have the best
Hmm.
people and a creative team, and
Hmm.
yeah, it can be done. But for starting out, my
Yeah.
whole thing is, you know, geared. My story, my book, it's all geared for the little guy, the guy
Yeah.
who I want to be that stepping stone to get the little guy to take that leap, to take that
Hmm.
jump into bringing it to
There's
market
the
or start.
That's what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear that. Here's the lead in. And thank you, Bruce, for going there. Because here's the lead in, Amelia.
Yes.
Skill versus luck
Hmm.
versus timing. What's more important? The right timing, the skill to make it happen, or being in the right place at the right time?
I would say being at the right place at the right time.
What do you think?
You
Say
forgot
what? Because
hard
Bruce,
work
what?
and working towards a goal and starting out with a good idea to begin with. All of
True.
those don't really tell you the whole story. There's a lot to it, and you got to start out with being willing to take a risk, working hard, working your butt off, and having a good idea. A lot of people do come to me and they say, I've got this idea, and I'll sit down with them and I'll give them my opinion. And weighing the upside, weighing the downside, it's calculated. You got to figure out, is it worth dumping $100,000 into a market that's only $1 million or $2 million? No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Hmm.
You want the downside to be
Hmm.
X, and you want the upside to be 50, 100 times that.
Sure.
And so you got to weigh it out. And luck, you make your own luck. Okay, what was
Hmm.
the other one? Timing is important, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's funny you even, it just made me think about when we came up with the cup holder. We go to this trade show. Well, we found out then and only then that we had these two Jewish guys from LA who came up with the armrest style cup holder
Mm.
at the same trade show.
Wow.
They were
Wow.
introducing the cup
Well,
holder. I thought I had the corner
that's
on the market.
crazy. That
Wow.
is
Oh
nuts.
boy, did that start a fun time. Now I got competition. I thought I had a lock in the market. I thought I had a monopoly. I thought I was going to be multimillionaire. We fought these guys for years afterwards, and it was actually quite enjoyable because they had a okay product, but we designed a much better one. That theirs was a plastic piece of plastic that would be glued with two-sided tape over an armrest. Piece of plastic, injection molded. Well, that would pop off, if it wasn't stuck right, and we ended up making one that would replace the existing armrest, but ours would have these padded inserts so you could use the material from the seats and match it. So it's so much better. And we ended up blowing them out of the water and ended up buying them out. Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
Bruce, I have heard my mentors always told me the definition of success. They would say to me, Angelo, the definition of success, young man, is timing plus opportunity. That's what I've always understood success to be. What does Bruce Clark say about defining success? What is success?
It's funny. It's funny as I look back and reflect on my inventions and what they created, and success to me is it's the lessons I learned. It's the confidence it gave me to be able to believe I could do anything. It's people say, "Oh, I do it for the money," and I'm a firm believer. Don't do it for the buck. Don't go chasing the dollar because it's a little futile. Yes, the dollar's critical. You must make it profitable by all means. However, if your motive is to chase the dollar, it's not healthy for a good business. You got to have a good product, a good service.
Can I jump in there, Bruce? Can I jump in there because it's really important what I'm hearing you say, and I don't want what you're saying to be lost on people. I want to follow up with a question here. Far too often, I see people who I know personally and people that I know through other people. They chase that dollar like they're chasing their first high, and consequently, what I see, Bruce, is they keep chasing and they spend their lifetime chasing. Okay, how
I look at the money as a byproduct of a job well done.
There you go.
Is a
Now
byproduct.
we're talking. Now we're talking. So I want people to understand that what Bruce Clark is telling you is success isn't measured by dollars and cents. It's measured by your own sense of accomplishment. Am I wrong on that, Bruce?
I believe that to be true. Yep, I do.
Amelia,
I do. Like I say, I don't think about the money that I made. Yeah, I made the $1 million, but I don't look at that as a measuring tool. I look at, like I say, the confidence it gave me, the knowledge it gave me to where I know how to do things a little smoother, a little better, and the education, the confirming the idea of taking a calculated risk.
And to make people happy, to go to a game or a concert or to a movie. Yes, absolutely.
I'll tell you what, money can't buy walking into a stadium and seeing tens of thousands of cup holders behind every seat and people using them.
Yes.
And knowing that you're the guy that put them there.
Yes.
That's the important thing. But now, here's again, the idea that came out of frustration and necessity is now a global phenomenon because you can
And
go to any country on the planet. You're
mhm,
going to go into some venue, some theater, some stadium, somewhere, anywhere in the world, and you're
Sure.
going to see a cup holder.
yeah,
And knowing that the guy who put it there is our guest on the show tonight, I'm
mhm.
honored by that, Amelia.
Me too.
I
Me
really am.
too.
I'm honored by that.
Yeah.
And here's the
That's
funny
cool.
thing,
Thank you.
just to show you how things work out. I found Bruce Clark looking for another guy named Bruce Clark. That's true.
Funny
And we
story.
talked about that.
Yeah.
And then the funny story, and the Bruce Clark that I was looking for, this Bruce Clark knows who he is. It's funny. It's just
Yeah.
one guy, the guy
I
I
don't
was
know him
looking for.
personally. I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
in case you don't know who we're talking about, his
Uh-huh.
name is Bruce Clark. He's a marketing guru. Some people have called me a marketing guru. That's my forte. That's my strength. Advertising and marketing. That's what I do
Mhm.
best. And that's why I love doing this podcast. I get
Mhm.
to do what I do. I don't make any money doing this podcast, by the way. I've never made a dime from it. But you know what? My sense of accomplishment isn't financial. It's knowing that I get on here
Yeah.
and I have some of the greatest minds, some of the greatest entrepreneurs, some of the greatest personalities in America have come to my show just because they want to for me.
That is so neat.
I
I've
have a
done
great deal of goodwill with people, Bruce. I really do.
Mhm.
on
I,
my
I've been
Invent Your
blessed to have a
Path.
tremendous amount of goodwill.
That's
It's
I know the feeling. I inventyourpath.com is my website, and I've got 10 podcasts of just video, no, just audio, no video,
Your
of interviews
websites
with a
are up
lot of business
on the
owners.
screen right now too, Bruce. Just to let people know,
There you go. Yeah,
BruceDouglasClark.com and
Mhm.
InventYourPath.com
Mhm.
are up on the screen.
right.
I encourage everyone to check out Bruce's websites. Lots of information. You want to know what it took to get to where he is in life?
Mhm.
Read. Do your research, kids.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Bruce.
Well, I was going to say, I doing those interviews. I did one of them with a bunch of local businessmen. The one most well known is the creator of Tommy Bahama clothing line,
Oh yeah, sure.
Bob Enfield. That's a real
Yeah.
interesting story because he didn't have any money either. And anyway, the satisfaction
Incredible.
of getting the story from these people really is what gave me a lot of satisfaction. It's great
Yeah.
to I was amazed at the satisfaction it gave me to hear their stories.
It's remarkable. It really, really is that, genius is born sometimes out of a whim, a spur of the moment situation that calls for a solution. You being in that movie theater at that moment
Mhm.
propelled you out of your frustration to, to do two things: appreciate your wife for holding all your shit, number one, and number two, come up with a solution to your wife holding all your shit. So I
Right,
think that's wonderful.
right. Well, that's it's a blessing that if whatever it just goes to show how people can you know if they're frustrated, hey, maybe that's a good thing. If you're frustrated, ask yourself why. Is there a new product? Is there a new concept, a new business I can make from this
Mhm.
frustration? You know,
Yeah,
just a so
absolutely.
you don't have to think negative about being frustrated.
Amelia,
Yes.
questions for Bruce Clark, inventor of the stadium cup holder.
Have you ever thought of making that cup holders like for buses, for tour buses? Anybody come approach you for that as well?
I played around with some suction cup holders that can go on various things. We actually developed them for shopping carts, And we
Oh.
did some studies,
Really?
and we thought, boy, the one thing, for every 5 minutes a person stays in a grocery store, they buy more stuff. So
Yeah.
we thought, well, why not encourage these grocery stores to use our cup holders? And we developed a whole other cup holder just for shopping carts that had little place for keep your coupons and a little peg to hang your purse, and slots for your coupons, and cup holder for coffee, of course, and pencil holder. And we also put them in churches. We call them the worship caddy. And
Oh my God.
so yeah, we went other places with the idea.
That's funny.
And now,
Well, I'll tell you
my
what.
local grocery store, they're molding them right into the shopping cart now and into the plastic. So
I'll tell you what. Amelia, we got to have Bruce Clark. But this has been a fast hour. I'll tell you
Yes,
what.
it has.
It has been a fast
it's been
hour.
an hour.
Bruce, can we
I got
get
so
you
much
back?
more to say.
Well, I'll tell you what. We're gonna have you back. Can we have
Yes.
you back next Tuesday?
And can you bring up the prototype or a picture of it that we could see if you have it?
Oh, no, actually, I donated that to the Caddy
Oh.
Museum, and I haven't seen
Oh,
it
wow.
since. And they ended up
Oh,
selling
wow.
the business.
Oh.
And that's
Wow.
another story. I tell you, I sold the business, and I had a deal with these guys that I had royalties in perpetuity on cup holders.
Wow.
In perpetuity, that
Incredible.
means like forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Well,
Yes.
so I was set for life, baby. I was one happy camper
There you
until
go.
they had ended up selling that division, the cup holder division, to another company, and that company sold
Wow.
it off to another company, and that company filed for bankruptcy. They raped the
Oh my
business, and they filed for
God.
bankruptcy, and so my royalties went right out the window. I learned a valuable lesson.
damn.
Contractual law is superseded by bankruptcy law.
Oh my God.
The contract I had to get royalty for the rest of my life went bye-bye because of bankruptcy
Oh,
law
man.
supersedes it, takes
That
it away.
sucks.
So what
Oh,
do we
that's
learn from that?
horrible.
License the product out.
Yes.
You don't have that issue.
Well, I'll tell you what, Bruce, I got to have you back next Tuesday. Can you join us for part 2?
Sure, I love it.
Beautiful. I'll tell you, Amelia, we're going to
Yes.
get him back.
Absolutely.
Got to have him back because this is just like the tip of the iceberg of his stories and the things he's done. I want to really, on the next episode, I want to really dig deep into the subculture of entrepreneurship, because there's a lot of stuff happening. There really is. There's a lot going on.
There
and
is.
I want to dig into
There
it.
is indeed.
So
Well, I'd be
Bruce
proud to
Clark,
do that.
yeah, for Bruce Clark, for Amelia Living La Vida Loca Chapman, I'm Mad Dog Angelo DeCipio. Join us next week for part 2
Thank
of
you.
Bruce Clark.
Nice
Take care,
nice
everybody.
to be with you.
Good night.
Nice to meet you,
Appreciate
sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So we're all done?